I want to do what you do. I had gotten into HR because I wanted to help employees. And what I found in HR was you're helping the company way more than you're helping the employees. Not always, but a lot of the time. And coaching felt a lot more like what I actually wanted to do.
You are listening to the Beyond the Classroom podcast, a podcast for burnt-out teachers who know something's gotta give. After teaching for 14 years and feeling completely burned out for way too long, in May of 2022, I made a big decision and left the classroom. I now help burnt-out teachers like you take back balance and joy so you can wake up every day loving your life. In this podcast, we'll explore who you are beyond the classroom, whether you're considering leaving or wanting to make changes so you can fall in love with teaching again. Either way, I understand what it's like to be living a life that looks fun and cute on the outside. You know, summer's off, playing all day, off at 2 o'clock every day, but actually feels miserable and draining. I'm your host and coach, Sandy Patterson, and I'm so excited to help you step into your fullest potential and believe in that potential to make an impact on the world, not just survive each day. Are you ready? Let's do this. Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of the Beyond the Classroom podcast. I am Sandy Patterson, your host and certified life and business coach, and I am so happy you're here today. I have a very special guest for you today, Amelia Shoptaugh. She is a certified decluttering coach, and her and I met in our life coaching program. And I wanted to bring Amelia on because on this podcast, we talk a lot about doing scary things and being brave and really taking messy action, and also, of course, building a business. And Amelia has experience in all of these things. She has a background in HR, and she just on a whim one day quit her job and went for it without a plan. You're going to hear all about that. But I know you are going to love this conversation because it's going to show you that no matter what, you can do scary things too. Whether they're big scary things or little scary things, you can be brave, and we are all about taking messy action here on the podcast. So enjoy this conversation. I cannot wait to hear what you think. All right. Hello, Amelia. Thank you so much for joining us today for another episode of the Beyond the Classroom podcast. I'm so happy that you're here today.
I'm so happy that I'm here too. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I love you, and I'm so excited that you're here. So on the Beyond the Classroom podcast, you know, we talk a lot about doing scary things and being brave and really taking messy action. I think that's like a big overarching theme here. And of course, like building a business, and you have experience in all of these things, right?
Yes.
I'm super excited. So why don't you share a little bit first about your background, just anything fun you want to share with us.
Yeah, for sure. I live in Minnesota. I've lived in Minnesota pretty much my whole life. I grew up in northern Minnesota, and now I live in the Twin Cities. And I have bounced around to a lot of different things. Choosing a career path was always one of those things that was like, I don't know what I want to do. It's been a long journey. And so that's part of the mess, I would say.
I just want to point out too, that it's not, you just said it's all part of the mess, but it's actually not a mess. It's just part of the journey, right?
Yes.
And I think a lot of people that listen, or some people that listen, are teachers in my world, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of them are teachers that are trying to figure out, like, is my heart still in this? Is this still my passion? Is this still what I want to do? And so that idea of like figuring out which way to go or which path to take or which decision to take, you think you're doing something that you thought you were going to do forever, that I think will really resonate with people.
Yes, absolutely. It's part of the journey. I think I say mess because I'm like tying it all together kind of with where I'm at now. But I think, like, I'm not a teacher. I wasn't a teacher. I think there was there was a point when I was, like, in elementary school where I was like, that's what I'm going to be when I grow up as a teacher. But that didn't, as I got older, didn't become what I wanted to do. But I was always very comfortable being a student, and intelligence and being smart was like how I identified myself. And so when I graduated from college and didn't have school anymore, it was like, what is my identity? What do I want to do? And so figuring that out, like I said, has been like a lifelong process, pretty much.
A messy journey, or a journey that feels messy, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And it's interesting you just use the word identity too, because I think for so many of us, and in teaching or in school or in whatever it is, another career, another job, in being a mom and being a partner, we create these identities, right? And then when those identities are taken away from us, we're like, wait a minute, who actually am I? And that, I think, is what feels really messy, right?
Yeah. And scary, yeah.
And so scary, scary. Yes. Scary is like an understatement. So you made a big change in your life. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I had figured out that I was really good at logistics, tasks, admin kind of stuff. And so I ended up sort of falling into administrative work, which led into HR work, because I was working at really small places that didn't have HR, and I was like, you have to pay attention to labor laws and stuff, right? And so I just like kind of gave myself permission to do that. And I ended up working at a small nonprofit as their like operations, HR, by the time I left, director. So I was there almost 8 years, and it really became, again, part of my identity in a way that I hadn't really realized until after I left. But in the last, I should say, pretty much the whole time, there were things that would happen here and there where I would go like, this doesn't feel great. But I kept going, and I kept saying like, well, this is just how work is, or this is just how bosses are, or this is just like, I can see how it's getting better, or how I'm making change. And so I kept talking myself out of that it was a bad situation or a bad working environment. And then in the last couple of years that I was there, they went through a lot of leadership changes, and that can really mess with things. And we got a new leader that just loved me, and then she left, and we got a leader who really didn't. And in working with that person, I like pretty much quit in a moment of passion and said, I can't do this anymore. Like, this is the last straw.
I did not know this. I didn't know it was like on a whim type thing. I didn't
kind of, yeah. I mean, it was on a whim, and like there's a lot more to the story that we don't need to get into, but just that like I knew in that moment that I was either going to have to quit or I was going to be asked to.
You just said so many things that I personally really resonate with, and that I think a lot of people that are listening to this podcast will probably resonate with. Again, talking about that shift in identity and not realizing that after you left, like, oh my gosh, who am I, right? And essentially, like, the coach in me is going to reflect this back to you. Like, essentially what you were doing is you were, like, when you said I was talking myself out of it, you weren't actually paying attention to your intuition and your gut. Like, it was probably there the whole time. And for me, like, in teaching, the same thing, like, it was the same exact thing. Like, there were little, like, signs over the years of, like, this doesn't feel very good. This isn't right. Like, I don't think this is how I'm supposed to feel, but okay. Like, and you said it, like, this is just how things are, right? So we settle for the status quo, but you essentially, what you did is you put your foot down and said, no more.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do this anymore.
Yeah.
So what was the scariest part about that?
Doing it. I mean, like I said, I think as soon as the words came out of my mouth, I was like, what did I just say?
Yeah.
And I said to the person, I was like, can I have 5 minutes?
Yeah.
And I literally like turned my camera off. I muted myself because this was all on Zoom. This was still basically during the pandemic. And I walked out into the hallway and just sat down on the floor of my house and just cried for 5 minutes. And then I just like wiped my face, got myself together, got back on the call, and we talked about, okay, when is my last day going to be? What am I going to, put... Yep.
Okay, so let me ask you, that is really, really brave of you. Again, and again, just to be clear here, nobody's asking anybody to quit their job or just, whatever. But I want to point out, how brave that was of you to, put your foot down and go, oh, shit, what did I just do? But you knew, I'm assuming you knew it was the right decision for you, for your mental health, for your well-being, for all of that stuff. Even plan. Did you have a plan?
No.
Okay, I did not know this.
No, I had no plan. Not at all. The only thing is that a few weeks before this, I had a meeting with this person who, essentially put me on a performance plan. Yeah. So in that moment, I had the question, do you actually want to help me improve performance? Or is this a formality so that later when you fire me, it looks like you tried?
Okay.
I mean, I didn't ask it that bluntly, but I kind of asked that. And because I was in HR, I knew these kinds of things. That's what you do. You have to do. And he goes no, I want to improve your performance. And then we met 3 weeks later before my plan was even, done. And it was to talk about how I had met all the expectations. And I was like, well, it's not done yet. So, again, it was they were clearly pushing me out.
So I'm just for any teacher listening right now, I think they're probably having a heart attack because it's oh my God, you did what without a plan? Teachers love to have a plan, right? I think, teacher or not, like to have a plan and know what's coming and to be in control. So how did you navigate that afterwards?
I just kind of took things one step at a time. I stayed for the next, I think, 4 weeks after that. And spent that time really giving other people, teaching other people what I had been doing and how to continue on without me. And I feel like the only reason I really did that is because I really did care about the people in this organization that I worked at. And I had 3 supervisees at the time. And I really cared about them and they were fairly new. So, otherwise I probably would have just been I'm done. But I got a little bit of severance. So it was sort of I'm going to take a little bit of time off. I had a conversation with my parents who have always been a great support and safety net for me. And they said, this was mid-May, 2021. And they were take the summer off. Just take the summer off. You'll have severance through into August, I think. And they were we'll figure it out for the rest of August. And then you can start looking for work and figure out what you want to do. And so I really just took that time to do that. And I feel very blessed and lucky to be able to have taken that time because I really needed to rest.
That's actually really, really good advice. So number one, you said, I took it step by step. I didn't know what was coming, but you just kept putting one foot after the next. And then the other thing, I think that because I talk to a lot of teachers day in and day out, and the misconception is that if I'm going to make this big change, that means I need to jump right into a new career. And I think I don't know why that's the misconception. I think the idea of taking that space to recover and to kind of regroup and take a breath and recenter yourself and then figure out what's next, that's huge. And so that's actually something that I work with a lot of my clients on too, is figuring out okay, well, I'm not going to be getting a severance, but how can I set myself up with this cushion so I have this small chunk of time, whether it's a month or 3 months or 6 months, I have this financial stability so I can take that space because nobody expects anybody to jump from one career to the next and be completely set up and all that. So that's really good.
I mean, as a coach, I absolutely recommend taking time off in between, especially when you've been somewhere for a really long time, or are changing careers and not just jobs. But as an HR person, I totally get that, not everybody has that luxury. They need that paycheck. And sometimes the job market is such that, if you take a month off, you might end up taking a year off because you can't find a job, you know? So it's really hard. And like health insurance and all of those things that are tied to employment in the U.S. that are, I could go off on that, but I won't.
I know. Well, my big thing too is that like those things, I think all the things that you just listed too, those are things that hold people up. And I get it. I understand it. But I also know that there are ways to figure it out. Like if you want something bad enough, there is a way to figure it out, and to not just use those things almost as an excuse to stay stuck.
Yes,
right? So
absolutely.
That's always my thing. So if I have any HR questions, I'm going to come to you. You already know that.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us, what would you tell someone who is thinking about making this big, huge, scary change in their life? What do you wish you had known prior to you making this big change in your life?
I mean, I think you really hit the nail on the head earlier when you said I wasn't listening to my intuition. I wish I had listened to my gut more. I wish that I had, like, I don't necessarily regret anything because it's a learning experience, but at the same time, it's like, I probably would have quit with more of a plan, ideally, and not so spur of the moment. And that, you know, I spent a lot of that summer just like coming to the realization about like how much I had let them control me and affect my mental and physical health, and like how many things I had brushed under the rug or had not acknowledged. And so I think in hindsight, it was like, I wish I had listened to myself more. I wish I had paid more attention. I wish I had like maybe left sooner, and that I wouldn't have put up with so much for so long. And so I think what was scariest about it was A, that I didn't have a plan, but also just that I had been there so long that it, again, had become part of my identity. Yeah. And I think if I had left at the first or second sign of trouble, it wouldn't have maybe been part of my identity at that point. And that's not to say that that's bad, but that was definitely scary.
Oh yeah, and hindsight's always 20/20, right? We always look back and we're like, oh man. But yeah, I resonate with that big time, because I taught for 14 years, so it was a part of me. Like it was basically like who I was, you know. And my biggest thing, like I was like, you know, crying, like the tears, lots of tears, like crying. And my husband, like, well, when you introduce me to people and they ask what I do, like, what am I going to say? Like, if I'm not a teacher, I'm nothing. I mean, obviously, in hindsight, that's not true. I'm still me. I'm still the same person. But we tie ourselves so closely to what we do that we sometimes forget that that's not actually who we are. It's just what we do. Yeah. And, you know, what's most important in life? Keeping your priorities at the forefront. And that's exactly, again, essentially what you did. Like, you prioritized yourself, and you said, even though this is scary, I'm still going to go for it. I'm still just going to do it. Well, maybe you didn't think that. You just kind of did it, right? I really just did it. So what are the biggest changes that you've seen in yourself since you made this change?
I think I see more now than I did before that I can do hard things, that I can be brave, that scary things are part of life and that you just have to deal with them. But that if you take it one step at a time, it's less scary. And if you get help, it's less scary. And I think too, just that idea of making what you do your identity. Like, I try not to do that as much anymore. And I try not to that be the second question you ask somebody, like, hi, what's your name? What do you do for a living? Because it's not the only thing about them.
Yeah, that's so true. And that's true. I've never thought about it like that, but you're absolutely right.
And we ask kids too, like, hey, what's your name? How old are you? What do you want to be when you grow up?
Oh my gosh, you're so right. That is so true. Instead of asking them like, what do you like best about yourself?
What do you like to do? What's your favorite thing to play with? Or,
Oh, I love that. that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good one too. And I think too, there's like a stigma too around like, you know, being a mom too. Like if you ask someone like, what do you do? And they're like, oh, I'm just a mom. You're like, oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
Not just, there's no just in that. So I think that's really, really powerful. Like a good shift in questioning too, that I'll probably keep in mind too, because you're right. You're not what you do. That's not who you are at your core. I love that. Okay. Tell us about your business too.
Yeah.
What are you up to now?
So in the process of figuring out what's next, I hired a life coach. Again, sort of on a whim. I
love it.
And through that process went, I want to do what you do. That I had gotten into HR because I wanted to help employees. And what I found in HR was you're helping the company way more than you're helping the employees. Not everybody, not always, but a lot of the time. And that coaching felt a lot more like what I actually wanted to do. It's like I was having conversations with employees before about like, how does this job fit into your life? And like, what goals do you have in your life? And like that kind of thing. And sometimes it was like, well, maybe staying at that company wasn't part of that. And that's not really what you should be doing as an HR person. So I was like, how do I do what you do? And really just like started doing research, which is like my main skill set.
And I think too, there's something to be said about, and I think teachers resonate with this too, is that like at your core, like you want to help people. Like that's what you said. That's like a core value, right? And I think that a lot of people are like that. So you can pick up the person out of the position or out of the job or out of the location or whatever it is, but wherever you set them down, they're still going to want to help people. So this is your way of continuing to really help people.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was like, how do you become a life coach? And so
how do you become a life coach?
Pretty much, yeah. And so it was like training. I knew a couple people who did coaching, and so I talked to them about it, how they became that. Is it sustainable? You know, can I make a living at that? And like all these things, and enrolled in coach training, and that's how we met. And you know, now I am focusing on decluttering and organizing coaching. That is a skill set that I have, is helping people work through the obstacles, work through the emotions of going through decluttering and organizing their spaces.
And I will say too, I think that when your space and your mind is decluttered, you are in such a better place to make better decisions.
Absolutely.
And to do scary things, right? And I know you've helped me with a couple decluttering projects too, and it makes such a big difference just in your headspace. And it's interesting, like how it all ties together, like the mindset of it all too is so key. So
absolutely,
I love that. So what are some challenges you faced in starting your business?
I would say the biggest challenges I've had in starting my business was like lack of clarity. So I have a lot of interest in a lot of different areas, and so deciding what kind of coaching I wanted to do, whether I needed to focus on an area or do general life coaching. And I think I don't know how to market. I don't know how to sell. I don't, like I'm not a business person, or I haven't been a business person until now. So it's like, it wasn't just learning how to be a coach. It was also like learning how to own a business. And I'm still figuring a lot of that out, but there's so many resources that
so many resources. And I think that it's made out to be so difficult. And I hear a lot of women say like, well, I don't have a business background, or I don't have a marketing background, or kind of what you just said, like, I don't know how to sell, but you can figure it all out. It's actually not as hard. And the hardest part, I think, comes from within, right?
Yeah.
It's building up that confidence, or getting that clarity around like who I help, how I help them, and all of that good stuff. So, so awesome. I love what you're doing, Amelia.
Thanks.
Okay, tell us, last question for you. What final piece of advice would you give to anyone who, again, knows in their gut that they need to make a big change, but they're scared?
I would say listen to yourself. And if you're the kind of person who needs to have a plan, then make a plan and figure it out. But stop talking yourself out of it. Stop telling yourself it'll get better if you're constantly feeling like this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel right. Listen to that and act accordingly. Because we just don't have enough time or energy or capacity to like deal with all this. And if you're unhappy, like, you could be happier, and you can make that happen for yourself.
Yeah, it's a decision, right? Like, you just have to decide and then go for it and trust yourself and your gut. I think a lot of times we don't do that. Like, we ignore it, we push it aside. We're like, this is just, like you said, this is just how it is. But we're rewriting that story and saying, no more, I'm putting my foot down. I'm going to live the life that I desire and that I dream of, and I'm going to make every little piece of it exactly what I want it to to be. Not that that's easy, but, you know, it's possible.
Yeah,
we're doing
it's possible.
Right?
Yep.
We're doing it. So tell everybody where we can find you if we want to find more Amelia.
Yeah, so if you want to find me, and I don't know if you normally allow profanity on your podcast, but
it's so funny that you say that. For a long time I was like, I can't, like, you know, like in the classroom you're like, you can't say a bad word, like you can't cuss it. Now I'm like, wait, this is my platform, I can do whatever I want. You say whatever you want.
Okay. But yeah, you can find me at Fuck the Perfect Life on Instagram, which will link you to all of my other stuff, website, and all of that. So, I'm in the process of figuring out what decluttering coaching exactly looks like, but I am taking clients if you are interested, or just want to learn more or chat. You can find me there.
Yeah, I literally don't know anybody that doesn't have a space that could be like decluttered.
Right?
Everybody has one. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. So yes, you can find Amelia at Fuck the Perfect Life on Instagram. I will link that in the show notes, of course. And Amelia, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today and just sharing about you making a big, scary change and proving that it's okay. Like, everything is okay. And you didn't even have a plan, which I didn't even know about, girl. That's pretty crazy. Yep. But thank you so much. And we'll see you guys next time for the next episode. And we'd love to hear what resonates for you in this episode always. So thank you, Amelia. We'll see you guys next time.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Beyond the Classroom. If you know something has to change and you're ready to take the next step to make it happen, whether it's in or out of the classroom, let's talk it through together. Schedule a no-obligation chat with me and we can talk through where you're stuck, how to get you unstuck, and how to keep you moving forward. Schedule your free call today by clicking the link in the show notes. I can't wait to connect with you.